This is our lead story this hour. The rains may have subsided in Johannesburg, but the severe effect have been felt around the city, with emergency teams working around the clock. Flash floods caused extensive damage, including semi-collapsed roads, clogged drains, as well as flooded bridges. Several of these are still closed off to traffic. 2 people have also had to be rescued while trying to cross the Jukskei River. Officials remain on high alert with more heavy rains predicted for Gauteng. Let's now get an update on some of the destruction that we've seen. Newzroom Afrika Ziniko Mhlaba is joining us now live from Fourway. Ziniko, very good morning to you. Tell us about what you can see from your vantage point.
Well, Aldred, we're here at the Jukskei River Park, not far from where we were earlier on. It's just actually about a kilometer adjacent to where we are. So there's a serious destruction where we are, Aldrin. Just to give you a sense of the damage that was caused by the heavy floods which fell on this particular area in the northern Johannesburg. So this is just the banks of the actual stream, which we'll show you a bit later on as we continue to give you these broadcasts. So you can see there that these tall, big trees were heavily affected by that heavy water that was so powerful to an extent that it also had to shift the barriers of the bridge. However, the road where we are is still closed. Actually, Alton, you mentioned 2 gentlemen or 2 people, or motorists, who were rescued by emergency services. One of those people was rescued from where we are. The road is closed. As you can see, private security personnel just monitoring the situation to direct motorists. But when it comes to the actual damage in terms of infrastructure, this is what you see. This is the damage that was caused. So we're not yet at the river at this point, Aldrin, but you can tell, the extent of that water that was overflowing over the bridge. It went as far as this particular, nearby street. And of course, these are fiber cables which have been completely removed from the system. These fiber wires were actually, underground, but due to the erosion that has taken place over this particular bridge, you can see now that they are clearly exposed. And of course, across the bridge as well, we'll show you some damages as well. So we are walking towards the bridge itself now, and of course you can tell where we are, there are no barriers surrounding this part or just protecting this particular river. Now the river starts from where we are. Those fiber cables, as you can see, they continue being exposed, and you can see they under the bridge. You can see where they are flowing into. I spoke about the barriers, the bridge barriers. These are concrete barriers which were positioned on the sideways of this particular river to protect the flow of water so that the water does not flow over the bridge. But you can tell from the first glance, you'll think that these barriers were put here by emergency rescue services to close off the road, but that is not the case. According to the residents, these concrete barriers were removed by the heavy water that was so powerful that it managed to push away these concrete barriers. So this is the river itself right now. And of course, those trees that you see there have been completely uprooted. This debris is the one that really pushed these particular concrete barriers onto the road. And of course, due to this blockade by this debris, water then had to flow sideways because it could not continue flowing under the bridge. So it flooded, it went sideways, and we are going to take you on the other side of this particular bridge so that you see the damage that was caused by this particular flood in this bridge as we try to make our way. The road is still very slippery. There is some mud as well, so you will have to forgive us for the instability of the shot. So the debris that you see, they continue. We are on the other side of the bridge now. This is the bridge that is connecting the eastern side of Johannesburg and the western side. So this is also the barriers which were here, as you can see, are now down there by the river. They were completely pushed away by the water itself, so there was no protection. And you also understand, Kulani Aldred there, that the bakkie that was trapped, or the gentleman that was trapped in the bakkie, the bakkie was protected or was held off by this particular barrier. So the gentleman was trapped at around this particular place. And the reason why the bakkie was not pushed or taken or flushed away by the river was because of this barrier. So this is where the bakkie got stuck. And of course, the rescue operations also struggled, to come through to him. But eventually they managed to successfully, rescue him from this particular bakkie. So it was due to this. So I'm walking just along this side just to show you the other vantage point of where we are. We are on this particular site now. So due to that debris, water then had to make its way around the bridge itself, and that is why now we can see some debris and some water remnants being shown here. That indeed even these trees that are just along these river banks were affected and uprooted. So this is the damage that really affected the surrounding areas as well. But you also understand that the properties along this particular river banks were heavily affected. Maybe in the next hour we'll be able to approach the owners and property owners just to get a sense of how they've been affected by these heavy rains which hit the northern suburbs last night.